bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Yeah. I'm here. How you doing? Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. Today's Monday, July 18th, 201 days into the new year. Just 165 days left. We are live from the bunker, somewhere in downtown Burbank, California. I'd like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet, I am your oh-so-humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? Big Monday to you. It's great to be back in the chair. The non-squeaky chair. Remember those days? I just tweeted that out. Twitter already smoking, by the way, and Karen is causing trouble. I kind of dig it, though, in a weird way. Tonight we're going to kick off our most haunted places in America week. Tonight is part one with Timothy Earl of Flatlands Investigations. Kicking off what should be a nice, frightful week. And this started to come together. Well, more on that in a bit, but it started to come together because of Craig Nearing and Jennifer Selsey and Kevin Malik and the Haunted Summerwind Mansion, which is something that we wanted to cover. So we just decided to do something that we haven't done in a while, actually, since last Halloween, right? And Halloween is coming up. So here we go. I know. And before you say that, it's July, August, September, Halloween, right? Yeah. In that order, right? All right, so that's what we're going to do. So this week is the most haunted places in America. Tomorrow night, Craig's going to be here with Jennifer and Kevin and the Haunted Summerwind Mansion. And then on Wednesday night, Greg Newkirk and Dana Matthews of Planet Weird are going to be with us. And they've got some amazing stuff, too. So it's going to be one of those weeks here on Fade to Black. I'm really looking forward to it. Then, of course, Thursday night is a special Fader night with open lines because we're going to have John Lund here of Modern Masters. We're going to talk a little gaming, and which I'm going to do here in a bit too as well, and what Modern Masters is all about. So we're going to do that on Thursday night. There is, I'm going to say this now, there is an outside chance that Rita and I may have to fly to New York this week, and that will be happening on Thursday morning. So if we go to New York, then we'll do John on Monday, okay? And that's the way that it is, but we have to do what we have to do. And what's going on in New York has everything to do with this show, okay? More on that later. Talked to John today, and I said, man, we got this going on, and now we've got this other thing, and we're just upset because John's our friend, and Dana. And so there you go. But I'm just kind of warming you up for that. If it happens, that way it'll soften the blow for Thursday night. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe we'll be able to broadcast live from New York. Hey, I didn't even think about that. We could broadcast from a hotel room in Times Square. That's a thought. Okay, let's put that on the back burner. That's a thought. That's a possibility. All right, so let's just stew on that one. But Thursday night also, John Rappaport will be here too as well with his No More Fake Newsroom. Follow us on Twitter at JChurch Radio. That's what you want to do. You can follow Timothy Earl, by the way. It is at Timothy Earl, S-O. How does he do that? That S-O-L. Just do Timothy Earl S. It'll pop up. Follow Timothy, and all the links have already been posted on Twitter. And Facebook, YouTube, you know what to do. Follow, like, and subscribe. We did a serious revamping. You may not notice what we've done, but Drew and Rita and myself went through the website this weekend and tightened up a lot of loose ends. And it is, man, that website, I'm going to say it right now. That is the best website on the web. I don't care. It's a pleasure to look at, and it just looks great. All right. Sandbox is hashtag F2B in Twitter. That's what you want to do if you want to hang out in the show tonight with all of us in real time. And any questions or comments are hashtag F2BQ. All right. Let's go. Let's get the show cracking. I would like to announce right now our newest sponsor here at Fade to Black, CCCP Publishing. That's right. Just click on their banner right now over at jimmychurchradio.com and order Future Esoteric by Brad Olson. Order the book at a very special Fade or Not price, I might add. And they'll send you another book for free. That's right. Just for you Fade or Nots right now. Just use the promo code Jimmy. Support our sponsors. That's how you support the show. And I got to tell you, Future Esoteric, the book. This is the new second edition, and I believe I'm on page 234. I'm making that up. I'm in the book somewhere, and Brad is probably listening right now, going, "Church, you're on page blah 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 blah." But yeah, order Future Esoteric right now, and just for you Fadernauts, if you use the promo code Jimmy, you're gonna get another book from CCC Publishing, and everything that they do is great. So go support the show. And I got to tell you, wait till you check out the price of Future Esoteric. That's how much CCC Publishing not only loves this show, but loves you, the Fadernauts. Also, Life Change Tea. That's right. GetTheTea.com, JimmyChurchRadio.com. Click on the banner. Use the promo code Jimmy, either over the phone or online, and you'll get free shipping. And Studio Dome, and by the way, Studio Dome sent us some really cool promo stuff today, and they wanted me to. I gotta roll over here. Hold on. Grab a couple of these things because I got them in the mail. They're called pop sockets, pop sockets, and they're a cell phone grip and stand that goes on the back of your cell phone. Okay. So for each of the systems that you get, the SBB2 speakers, they're going to go ahead and throw one of these in the box for you. And they're really, 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 really cool. And I got a peace sign one today and a happy face. Remember the happy faces? So go right now, Studio Dome, SBB2 speakers, the TWS True Wireless Stereo Technology. I got a very wonderful snail mail, authentic, printed out and signed letter in the mail from Studio Dome, thanking all of you Fadernauts. And I'm serious about this. They are so happy with all of you. And there you go. These things are pretty cool, actually. And I just got them, so I haven't tested them yet. I think Rita's in her studio now, standing up her phones with these. But these are pretty cool. All right? And they'll throw one of these in the box for you. Just use JCRTWS promo code and get that stereo system now, today. Amazing support that you guys have done with us with Studio Dome. Have you seen that Gobekli Tepe? Hey, Rita. Oh, there you go. Man, Mark Tarana is quick. Look at that. That's how much I love Twitter. That's going to get a retweet right there, Mark. Yeah, those are the pop sockets right there. That's what they look like. And they go on the back of your phone, and you pull it out. Then you can text and do all kinds of stuff, stand it up. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Exactly. That's it. That's exactly what it is. There you go. I'll retweet that right now. All right. Where am I? The Awareness Life Expo. Now, listen. They're buttoning up a few things on the website. You can go there now. Awareness Life Expo. It is August 13th and 14th as listed, but August 12th, which is a Friday, we are going to be broadcasting live from the VIP mixer, special mixer, and you can go now, get your tickets in advance, discounted prices, and get everything together. We are going to be at the Crown Plaza all weekend. Really looking forward to it, and everything that they have done for us, Awareness Life Expo, to welcome the Fadernauts and us. It's just going to be great. Richard Dolan, Lori McDonald, Victor Camacho, Patty Greer, Holly Cook, Len Kasten. And I just noticed Brett Lauder's going to be there. And if you don't know Brett, you need to go. And I'll introduce you to him myself. He is not only an uber cool guy, but very, very smart. And I hope that he's going to do a presentation on the inner earth, because it's a very strong thing, and his books are really good too as well. So Brett's going to be there, and I saw Chad Meek is going to be there. Chad Meek, and you remember all of the stuff about Giant Rock and George Van Tassel. Well, this is George Van Tassel's nephew. He was a guest on the show, I'm going to say 2 years ago. And he drove up from Mexico and was broadcasting live here from the studio. Chad Meek is going to be there, too, as well. So you get to meet George Van Tassel's nephew. So there you go. It's going to be a great, great weekend. Let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to Vin Diesel, 49 years old. Boiler Room, probably his best movie. Guardians of the Galaxy, he was excellent in. Fast and Furious, all 20 of them, all great. But his latest movie, The Last Witch Hunter, pretty amazing flick. For something like that, I didn't think it was going to go there, and it did. Great movie. Richard Branson today is 66. Darren, you ready? Malakian of System of a Down is 41. Armenian lives right here in Glendale, California. Pretty good shredder on the guitar. Our dead guy's birthday today, we have two. That's right. Nelson Mandela of the Mandela Effect. 1918 to 2013. Lived to the age of 95, if you remember that. And Hunter S. Thompson. Happy birthday. 1937 to 2005. And Hunter, the OG gonzo journalist. Of course, his legacy includes The Fear of and Loathing in Las Vegas. Some of the best writing ever was in Rolling Stone magazine. And I think that every journalist secretly wishes they were Hunter. I really believe that. Not only for his writing style, but for his independence of the system. He died of a gunshot wound that was self-inflicted at Owl Farm, his fortified compound in Woody Creek, Colorado. And his son, Juan, daughter-in-law Jennifer, and his grandson, Will, were visiting for the weekend. They were in the other room. And his wife, Anita, who was at the Aspen Club, was on the phone with him as he cocked the gun. She thought that cock was his typewriter when he cocked it, and that was it. He shot himself, and that is it. Happy birthday, Hunter. You were absolutely the very best on this day in history. Shortly after leaving a party in Chappaquiddick Island, Senator Edward Kennedy drives off a wooden bridge where 28-year-old Mary Jo died. And it's tough to talk about this because he did not report the fatal car accident for 10 hours because he was drunk. If that would have happened today, it would have been handled completely different. Fader fact, 42% of Americans believe in ghosts, 26% in witches, and 24% in reincarnation. And we're going to talk about all of that tonight with our special guest, Timothy Earl of Flatlands Investigation, kicking off our Most Haunted Places in America week. Now, I would like to thank Tim Hinchliff for a second. He's a great writer because Pokemon Go is kind of freaking me out right now, and Timmy has done some amazing research, and I've borrowed a bunch of it, most of it, because it's so good that it saved me, A, from a lot of time, and B, he just writes like I think, and that makes my life easy. So, go with me. Who is John Hankey? Last week, I was taping for History Channel, and I told you I had walked out and had lunch with the crew. And one of the guys, as we started talking about Pokemon Go, it was 5 out of 5, if you remember, they started talking about John Hankey. And so I went back and started doing my research. And so when you ask me who is John Hankey, I'm going to answer, great question, and I'm glad you asked. Because he is the founder of Pokemon Go's Niantic Labs, which in turn was a startup that was absorbed by Google. Prior to founding Niantic Labs, he was the CEO of mapping company Keyhole Inc. Now stay with me. Through funding from the CIA's venture capital branch, In-Q-Tel, and this happened back in 2001. Keyhole was later bought by Google in 2004. Now stay with me and get your pens and pencils out because this is where it gets crazy. The In-Q-Tel website clearly states in its mission on its front page, so there is no doubt as to what interest the company serves. And it says, IQT identifies, adapts, and delivers innovative technology solutions to support the missions of the Central Intelligence Agency and broader U.S. intelligence community. It's on their website, on the homepage. Since IQT funded Keyhole Inc. and Keyhole's CEO set up Niantic Labs, which created Pokemon Go with funding from Google, there couldn't be a clearer indication of the CIA influence over the latest phenomenon right now that's captured the world, Pokemon Go. But it's not just the CIA. Adding to the privacy-destroying mix is Google. Man, I hope they don't shut this show down. In 2009, after reporting massive hacking attempts to Google servers coming from China, Google, in turn, reached out to the NSA and made a deal. According to officials who were privy to the details of Google's arrangements with the NSA, the company agreed to provide information about traffic on its networks in exchange for intelligence from the NSA about what it knew about foreign hackers. It was a quid pro quo. Listen to me. This was information for information. I've reported on all of this on this show. It's strange now how everything that I've been reporting on, not only with Google and the NSA and sharing of information and court orders, right, that today it would lead to Pokemon Go. 2 years ago, Google disclosed that, and I'm quoting here, since 2009, the national security letters have compelled the handover of customer records from as many as 1,999 accounts every 6 months, end quote. That's a press release from Google. Google began turning Keyhole's tech, okay, this is Hankey, Keyhole's tech into what we now know as Google Earth. The acquisition would have gone unnoticed, by the way, had it not been for one not-so-tiny detail. Keyhole Inc. was part owned by the CIA and the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, the NGA, which is a sister agency to the NSA. Keyhole Inc. also had one major client base. That's right. The United States military and intelligence agencies. All of them. A press release was issued at the time of IQT's investment in Keyhole, with Mr. Hankey delivering the following statement. Remember, Hankey is Pokemon Go. Now listen to me. This is from Hankey, and I am quoting. Keyhole's strategic relationship with In-Q-Tel means that the intelligence community can now benefit from the massive scalability and high performance of the Keyhole Enterprise solution. By capitalizing on trends in commercial markets, In-Q-Tel is supporting an ever higher standard of advanced technology adoption in government. Keyhole is pleased to help set that standard for large-scale 3D geospatial visualization, end quote. The press release goes on to include the importance of Keyhole's technology to the U.S. military, the Pentagon, and the Iraq War. Rob Zitz, director of the National Imagery and Mapping Agencies, that's NEMA, the Innovision Directorate, expressed his appreciation of the acquisition. Isn't that sweet? And he did it with this, quote, immediately demonstrating the value of Keyhole's technology to the national security community, NEMA used the technology to support United States troops in Iraq. Within 2 weeks of In-Q-Tel's engagement with Keyhole, we implemented the technology to support our mission within the Pentagon. Introducing technologies like Keyhole is part of NEMA's effort to transform the intelligence business and the way we serve our customers, end quote. Pokemon Go. Then, the permission requests that were required to download Pokemon Go should have been enough of a red flag to indicate that it was a serious breach in privacy. I raised this red flag very loud and very high last week. The app required access to your location, camera, Google accounts, and even your personal contacts. Apart from that, anything recorded within the app can be used as evidence to summon users to court. I'm quoting here. We cooperate with government and law enforcement officials or private parties to enforce and comply with the law. We may disclose any information about you or your authorized child that is in our possession or control to government or law enforcement officials or private parties as we, in our sole discretion, believe necessary or appropriate. That is directly from the Pokemon Go privacy policy. Word for word. Even the creators of Pokemon Go acknowledged that the app requested more private information that was necessary, and I reported on that. But it included reading all of your email, sending email as you, accessing all of your Google Drive documents, including deleting them, looking at your search history and your maps navigation history, accessing any private photos that you may store on Google Photos, and Niantic Labs released the following statement to Polygon after the news site reached out for comment. And I'm quoting here. We recently discovered that the Pokemon Go account creation process on iOS erroneously requests full access permission for the user's Google account. However, Pokemon Go only accesses basic Google profile information, specifically your user ID and email address, and no other Google account information is or has been accessed or collected. Is your BS meter on high right now? Once we became aware of this error, we began working on a client-side fix to request permission for only basic Google profile information in line with the data that we actually access. Google has verified that no other information has been received or accessed by Pokemon Go or Niantic. Google will soon reduce Pokemon Go's permission to only the basic profile data that Pokemon Go needs, and users do not need to take any actions themselves. Are you freaking out? Now listen, this is how, to me, it all fits together. Pokemon Go was founded on mapping technology created by a company that has been backing both the CIA and the NSA. The technology was used by the U.S. military in the Iraq War, and it later became integrated into Google Maps. Pokemon Go runs on augmented reality, AR. And for those unfamiliar with augmented reality, by the way, that type of gaming, it's a type of game where one tracks virtual characters or objects that appear through real-world environments. Those real-world environments, by the way, are also tracked by Google Maps technology. And that company itself is tracking your every move. Pokemon Go was built on the back of a CIA-funded IQT. And just as IQT's mission statement declares, the technology was built to support the missions of the Central Intelligence Agency and the broader U.S. intelligence community. There you go. And I hope all of you are having a good time chasing down Pikachu, Taco Chew, or whatever his name is. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. It is disturbing. The other day, I saw a video it was at night, of Central Park. And something is out there with Pokemon Go. I was watching taxis pull over, people jumping out, crossing streets, jaywalking, flood. You would have thought it was a Who concert in Cincinnati in 1977. It was insane. Thousands. What is going on? And it's the perfect vehicle if you think about what is happening here. This is Operation Mockingbird taken to a whole nother level. This is NSA CIA technology incorporated into what seems like a harmless game. And to have, this is the thing, to have access to your recording and your camera and your location and everything else about, just think about that for a second. And right now, nobody is listening, man. Nobody is listening. This show is about conspiracy, and this one is unfolding with all of us around in real time. It's crazy. Man, I've never felt more like Alex Jones than right now. This is Fade to Black. When I come back, Timothy Earl, Flatlands Investigations, is with us. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Follow me on Twitter right now, @jchurchradio. Day one of the most haunted places in America. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Stay right there. I'll be right back.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I gotta tell you, it was a relief. National tax experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil three-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
Hi, folks. Ronnie here, reminding you that June is Health Awareness Month, sponsored by GetTheTea.com. Many of you have heard our tea commercial, maybe visited the website, but haven't committed because, well, you just don't know. Skeptical. We understand. Just to remind you, our tea is not just tea. In fact, very little tea. Life Change Tea is a unique blend of 8 different herbs, removing intruders that attack your health. You brew our tea to make the concentrate, you add water, and put in the fridge. 2 8-ounce glasses a day, and life will be good. Visit us at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And this month is lots of fun stuff with Health Awareness Month. You could be picked and receive your order absolutely free. You never know. Read the testimonies and try our products. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And for great health tips, visit my YouTube channel at Health Matters Now, where you can learn about health tips and how products work on your body. Join me, getthetea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fader-Knots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right. Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Tonight, is part 1 of the most haunted places in America week. Here on Fade to Black. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. You can follow me on Twitter right now, @jchurchradio. What's Timothy's? I just looked. I looked again. Just go at Timothy Earl, S-O. It'll pop up. We've got it up there on Twitter. Most call Timothy a demonologist, but the Order of Exorcists call him a lead exorcist investigator. Working with his team of paranormal investigators that include a demonologist, psychic mediums, and ordained ministers, Flatland Investigations is dispatched to suspected demonic activity. The first to respond, it is his job to both validate its demonic and to expose the demon to provide evidence for exorcism. If demonic deliverance is required, they submit the case to the Order of Exorcists, who will then dispatch a trained priest or bishop. Flatland Investigations also helps with standard haunts, ghosts, and human spirits, monsters of any sorts. They also help validate hauntings for the curious. He needs to go by Casa de Church. His website, of course, is flatlandinvestigations.com, and I would like to welcome to Fade to Black, for the first time, the one and only Timothy Earl. Timothy, good evening, sir.
How you doing, my friend?
It's all good, man, and I'm glad that you're here. And before I've got to do a couple of formalities with you first,
right.
and which is it's your first time on the show, so you get the Fade to Black first time guest disclaimer. How cool is that? It's only going to happen once, Timothy. Next time you're on the show, you're going to expect it. It ain't going to happen.
I'm holding my breath.
But the disclaimer is, it's just you and I sitting on my couch in my haunted house, having a conversation, and how we start, how we end, and we'll end as friends. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Now, I need to start here, actually, Timothy. Pokemon Go. You haven't fallen victim, have you?
Well, I don't think I have anything more scary than what you're presenting out there.
I know, right?
That's crazy stuff.
It is insanity. Now, how many of your family or friends or neighbors have you seen glued, walking around like a zombie?
So my own daughter, I took her to the park chasing after a Jiggly Pikachu, whatever. And, it was a good time. We got out, we walked, but, I'm going to try to share this with her, but being a 20-something, she won't listen to me. So, but yeah, that's scary stuff.
It truly, truly is. And this is what, this is where I went nuts with it before my investigations over the last week or so, which is when the disclosure and everything, when you're downloading the game, is not made. In other words, you're just going, install, and they're grabbing a hold of your cell phone and your email and everything else about you and stuff. and they don't disclose that, there's an issue. But if you back that's scary enough. But if you back that up, Timothy, all of this stuff goes through alpha testing and beta testing. And software designers, and code writers, as they're developing this stuff, they know exactly what they're doing. And you're saying through all of that beta test that nobody said, hey, wait a minute, you're grabbing a hold of my email. We need to get this fixed. No. That's where the deception is. It doesn't end up all the way into the Apple store without having, thousands and thousands and thousands of corrections and bug fixes. So it was intentional.
And not to get in trouble right off the bat, but didn't South Park do an episode on this very subject?
Yes, they did. And I was going to thank you for that. I was going to save that for the show tomorrow. But yes. And not only South Park, but now I'm forgetting. I talked about this last week about a movie that we just watched that was about the same thing. Oh, it was it The Kingsman? Oh, you know what? You guys are going to correct me again, the audience. It wasn't The Kingsman. It was something else. Maybe it was The Kingsman. That was exactly this. And here we go. And now it can't be reversed. Everybody's addicted to the game. And there you go. And there's no telling how much data was collected.
Right. Well, I'm not downloading it by any means. I have to be honest. I'm not that interesting. I mean, I just don't think the three letters are really interested in anything I have going on.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, you just remember that, right? Now, Timothy, before we move on, I want to make sure I forgot to mention this to you, but needed to also mention this at the beginning. I'm going to say this in a softball sort of way that you will understand, but I got to be cryptic for the audience. Mm-hmm. Tim is participating in one of our upcoming episodes for the new show, but the show has not been mentioned by name on the air yet, Tim, so don't slip up. Don't screw it up for all of us.
I will do my very best.
Okay, because they're listening right now. Okay, they're listening. All right, so now let's get down to the fun stuff. Something happened in your life somewhere when you were young. I'm not sure what, but that allowed you to go down this path that you're on today. What was it like growing up? Was it your parents? Was it a strict religious family? Was it an unstrict, non-religious family? What was going on there?
No, actually, my childhood was pretty normal. I grew up in the 80s. I had the party up front, or business up front, party in back, hairdo, running up and down the dirt roads, born and raised Roman Catholic, as we call it, cradle Catholic. I did go to a Catholic grade school and got my hand slapped by Sister Ermina. And
right on.
No, what really got me down this path is, I hate to say this, but entertaining foster children. We were foster parents for 15 years, and when ghost hunting started getting popular, was really, if you recall, 95, 97-ish, and it was real inexpensive to take a group of kids out to a supposedly haunted location with flashlights and tape recorders and things of the nature, and then we started getting things, just like any paranormal investigator would or ghost hunter would. We started getting things. Well, so I started taking it a little more serious, but then my wife started seeing some things. She started having an experience with what we call the Hat Man, and many out there listening will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, unfortunately, my wife was experiencing many miscarriages, and at the time, I had no idea what that meant, but came across some information about what that was, and I got angry, just like any hopefully good husband would, and I started researching what was going on. And then word got out, that I did this sort of thing. So, I get a call from a priest here or a pastor there to go out and help somebody, with a paranormal activity. And then I come across Archbishop Files' profile on LinkedIn, and he mentioned what he did. He heads up the Sacred Order of St. Michael. That's what you were looking for earlier, SOSM.
Oh, that's right.
Right. Right. So I shot him a note. Hey, if you ever needed any help, let me know. Then all of a sudden I get this long letter back from him, and the guy can write very eloquently, and invited me to join the order and to be an investigative arm for them, servicing, the central U.S. here. And I started Flatland Investigations as that branch. And I want to say it's been in venture ever since, but some say it'd be downhill ever since. So.
Well, and what's interesting here, and I've had priests on the show, I've had exorcists on the show, and we've talked about a lot of that. But also, you do both. But what I found interesting is when you go to your website, you have the, I want to call it a logo, but it's more like a official seal, which is the International Ministry of Exorcism, the Order of Exorcists. Now, Timothy, I got to be straight. If that doesn't scare the crap out of anybody, and certainly from our generation, your generation, my generation, we grew up with William Peter Blatty and The Exorcist, right. and we know what this country went through in 1972, which was a crazy time. So I see this, and I get, what exactly are we looking at here with this seal?
Well, that is our seal for the order, and it is an order of exorcists, just like it reads. And a lot of, you say the word exorcism, just like you're alluding to, you automatically lock up. You think of demons right away. But I like to try to soften it a little bit for people and just call it deliverance. You're getting deliverance from whatever it is ails you. And yes, we believe that there is a demonic influence out there that ails you or can ail you. But we also, there's deliverance of, just regular spiritual beings, human spirits and things of the nature. So there's lots of different types of deliverance that, we bring to the table. It's not necessarily chasing a demon away. I don't know how many times I've walked into a haunt and everybody, including seasoned ghost hunters, is adamant that it's a demon in this house. When it turns out it's the poor old guy who died there, a few years prior and just doesn't realize he needs to be moving on. So we don't mean to scare anybody, but.
Well, now, before we move on, I'm just going to ask you, if you were dealing with, you get the phone call, you show up, obviously something's going on. The house isn't, shaking up and down like, but something's going on. Would you rather have it be a demon, or would you rather have it be somebody's ghost?
Trick question.
Yes, it is. And it's you know what? Because they both, I don't know which one I'd want to deal with.
Well, a demon is pretty much a little more straightforward on how to handle it. In a human entity, can take various forms and shapes as well. And it's a little more, I don't know, I don't want to say dicey by any means, but you do have to handle it differently. And, they can pretty much tell you no. So I have to be honest with you. I'd rather deal with a human spirit because at least I know that I'm not going to be attacked in a sense that a demon would.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, man, that just opens up a whole can of worms. So then you are given the task of turning to the occupants of the home and saying, you know what? Okay, you've got a ghost. We can deal with that. Not that big of a deal. Or you have to turn to them and go, you know what? You got a real problem here. Right. You've got a demon possession going on, and that's not what anybody wants to hear, including myself, because I think of Linda Blair. And I know that I'm not far off from that if you know where I'm going with this, because that's what anybody is going to think about.
So there's different types of demonic activity, right? There's oppression, infestation, and possession. There's actually two more that people usually don't talk about, but those are the main ones. And people can even be physically and mentally and psychologically influenced with an oppression. An actual possession is just extremely rare, like the Linda Blair or, what was the movie I saw Saturday night? Can't think of it. The Warrens.
The Conjuring 2.
Conjuring 2.
How
right.
was that for you, by the way?
A little dramatized.
Do you look at stuff like The Conjuring and Conjuring 2 because you're the real deal, right? So do you watch that and go, Hollywood, that's are they playing it up, or can things actually be scarier than what's, Hollywood's play on it?
They can be scarier, but in a different sense. See, if I see a desk flying across the room, which I have actually seen, I see a desk flying across the room. Yeah, you're stunned, you're startled, you're scared, you get that taste of fear in your mouth. But it's the oppression that you don't see that's the scariest part, and that's where people don't realize they can be really, really oppressed. Your finances crash. Your relationships are completely out the door. People you loved, you hate. People who loved you hate you. Your health is diminishing. Your pets pass. As what we do, we're constantly under attack. Archbishop File has spent many copious times in the hospital. I personally had a TIA, which is called a mini stroke, and I'm otherwise very healthy. My daughter was diagnosed epileptic because of a grand mal seizure she had, but yet that's the only diagnosis they could give her because they couldn't figure out whatever else it was.
Right.
We have somebody out there right now in LA who's in the cardiac ICU, and they can't quite figure out what's going on with this cardiovascular, and he does exactly what I do. So it's those type of things that really scare me. I'd rather see something standing in a room. I'd rather see something levitating as opposed to have something doing an end around on you. That's the scary part to me.
You grew up Roman Catholic.
Yep.
How has your faith been tested throughout the years?
Constantly. So, one of the things that I encounter all the time with people and clients is when they have an experience, paranormal experience, it's either going to push them into religion or it's going to push them out of religion. There's one of the two extremes. And, of course I try to steer them towards Christianity, but, I'm not out there to be evangelical. I'm just out there to try to make sure that they get out of it as unscathed as possible. But yeah, it's to me it reaffirms everything that I've been being taught. You have a literal Bible and a metaphorical Bible. So much of it has become literal for me. And even today, we're learning the physics are starting to prove a little bit of what the Bible's been trying to teach us. So it's an exciting time for me.
With a demonic possession, are they concerned with the occupant's religious background? I mean, can you be atheist and have issues?
Well, of course, and we'll help anybody regardless of their background. However, we will be clear and upfront that we'll be doing it through, catechisms and Christian faith. But, people's backgrounds and religions do take a part in, how they're being affected, of course. Faith is a huge aspect of, trying to get rid of it. We're taught in the book of Matthew, and I'm going to do my best not to quote the Bible going through this, but in the Synoptics, they talk about demons a lot, and it specifically states that if you don't clean up, that demon's going to come back because it's going to know where it was comfortable. And, we can kick it out, but if you're not changing or put something in place to keep it away, it's going to come back, and there's not much that we can do for that.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Keep some holy water in the house and hang some crosses, or are you talking about faith in general?
Well, faith in general. A lot of times there's a lifestyle change that has to take place. There's a poor gal out in a small town here in Kansas that wants me to help her, but she said she's refusing to go to church. She's made it very clear that church isn't going to help her, and she's not going to go. I shrug my shoulders. There's not much I can do for you, ma'am. I'm sorry, I went and blessed her house once, and she was fine for a few months, but it came back, and you're going to have to make some changes. Now, having said that, Christians can be attacked. Just good Christians, They can be possessed even. And even in the Bible, where it specifically does not state what you can do to keep them away. And it does, and it also points out that Christ has allowed people to be possessed to get his ends done. He manipulates demons to get whatever he wants done. So there's oftentimes that we have absolutely no idea why a person is being affected by a demon.
Go ahead.
No, that's fine.
When you first, and by the way, everybody, I'm going to let everybody know that Tim sent me an EVP that I have listened to a few times. We're going to play that in a little bit, a little later on in the show, and we're going to break this down. There is a part of this, and this is, I'm going to make everybody angry. There's parts of this that I heard immediately, and I got really creeped out. Part of it is because I have really good audio equipment here in the bunker, and I can hear things. Second, I have ears. I've been producing records for years, and I hear things. And then Tim said, but you missed the best part. And so I can't wait to get to that in a bit. But the part that I know clearly what I heard, that scared the crap out of me. Now, I'm going to ask you, and I want to use other language, by the way, Tim, but let's just go with crap for now. Was this something that was heard audibly in the house? Did you hear it? Did the ladies hear it? One. And two, when you do go into a house, do you hear stuff like this? Because it is absolutely frightening.
We do hear stuff like that. That was not heard. We did not hear that until a good friend of mine, Bob, was listening. I get help for listening to all this audio and watching video. For every hour of audio or video, it's 2 hours of review. So I get help anywhere I can.
Right.
But so somebody called me up. Bob called me up. He was the one listening to this recorder, and he was all excited. You got to hear this. Got to hear this. It's phenomenal. And this particular EVP, no, we did not hear it. When I give you the background on it, leading up to it, it's going to creep you out even more. The particular location, unfortunately, was very affected, and then even across the street, there's more story to that. This is one of the most haunted locations I've ever been to, and
so hearing you say that, what scares you?
What scares me is somebody being tormented, and there's nothing I could do about it. That's what terrifies me.
So bouncing furniture, no, it's more the personal effect on somebody, and it's not in your control.
Right. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to be startled. Anybody would.
Right.
And I'm sure, I don't know if you've had it on your show or not, but your front temporal lobe can be affected by electromagnetic radiation.
Yes.
And fear can be put into you. So I've had that happen to me, obviously, but no, just somebody being terrorized. That's what really bothers me.
Okay, we're going to. I want to set up this next segment, and we're going to be doing that in about 5 minutes. So let's kind of start here. You get the call, okay? You get the call, and you've gone down the checklist, and this is something you need to investigate. What happens next?
The initial interview, of course, you go sit with the people, and I'm doing a psychological evaluation on them. By the time I get there, I'm going to have, Googled them. I'm going to look up any criminal records. I'm going to have the address. There's some online resources to see if anybody's passed there or, news articles. I'm going to know as much as I possibly can about the person, the people, and the location before I get there. So I have a list of questions that we ask, and it's written in a manner that it will expose any fraudulent behavior. It'll expose any psychological issues, but it also will reveal any hidden items, any hidden behaviors that wasn't previously known. And, of course, I record everything, video, audio. And from there, I garner, what do we need to do next? Do I need to, get a psychological evaluation on them. Could it be their medication? There's all sorts of medical issues that could be created. There's postmenopausal hallucinations. I had never heard about that till I got into this. Women who have just had children tend to hallucinate. Never knew that. But then if it's something I think, they have credence to the claim, I'll bring a team in and go after the evidence to be able to present a case to the order.
Okay, let's focus on, and that's amazing. And the reason why I say that is you have to go through, I'm sure that business is good, right? I'm sure that you're contacted all the time. But there's also going to be people that want a little bit of fame. Maybe they're bored in their life, and they just want some action, and they're going to call you. You need to weed that out, right?
And that's exactly why people like me exist, just so that the clergy doesn't have to, right? Clergy's trying to run a church, run a parish. They have books to balance. They have funerals to attend, weddings. They've got a congregation to manage. They can't go running every time somebody has a bump in the night. And that's where we come in and try to, weed out. We could take care of quite a bit of this. Then we, if somebody needs some psychological help, we can point them into the charities that can help them. So we try to alleviate the burden that, priest would have.
What is it about where you live? And I'm talking about the flatlands of America, Wichita, Tulsa, that part of the country. What is it about not only demonic possession, but ghosts and haunted houses? What is going on out there?
I think it's because it's such a Bible Belt that people tend to ignore it. And people tend to ignore things until, it's festered just beyond. You mentioned the call. It's kind of funny. I call it the call, and I put quotes in the air. I'm doing air quotes because they're panicked. They've been trying to ignore it for so long. Ghosts aren't real. Haunts aren't real. I'm a good Christian, and, I go to church. Hallelujah. And they just ignore it until the point where they're just frantic. Oh man, they're beside themselves. They're crying in the phone. They don't know what to do. The children are being affected. It's just a panic state. So I think that's what's going on here. I think that, I'm sure, all the listeners can roll their eyes. Oh, Kansas,
Right.
Well, in Oklahoma too, in Nebraska and Missouri, this whole area, is pretty much the Bible Belt. And we just tend to shove things off into a, nice little neat corner and not really want to attend to it.
Yeah, I've always found it interesting. We're going to take our break right here. That growing up, you, myself, our generation, you go to your grandparents' house or you go to your friend's house, and inevitably what happened, what was that? Oh, that's our ghost. What? Yeah, we got a ghost. And, and you had to live with it. You had to sleep through it, right?
Right.
That's just the way that it was. Our guest tonight, Timothy Earl, Flatland Investigations. We're talking about the most haunted places in America. And I've got an EVP here that's going to freak you out. We'll be right back. Stay right there.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
Fate or not, things are never what they seem. For the past century, forbidden subjects such as UFOs, backward engineering, human abductions, secret space programs, underground bases, suppressed free energy devices, and other fantastic notions have tested the human mind, forcing it to decipher fact from fiction, chronicling what he calls the alternative narrative. author Brad Olson gets down to the middle of it all in his best-selling book, Future Esoteric, now released in a second edition by CCC Publishing. And now, you can get Future Esoteric at a special price, plus another free book by just using the promo code Jimmy when you check out. Just click on the Future Esoteric or CCC Publishing banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go back, Lee Tepe.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go back, Lee Tepe.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter right now at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Our guest tonight, Timothy Earl, and most call Timothy a demonologist. But Flatland Investigations will also help with standard haunts, ghosts, human spirits, monsters of any sorts. They also help validate hauntings for the curious. He is our guest tonight. And now, Timothy, I want to get to this EVP. But before we get there, I'm going to ask you a question. What is the most haunted place that you have investigated?
It's a twin home in the town of Newton, Kansas. Absolutely, hands down.
And why? I mean, that's the honest question. Why? What happened?
So, okay, I'll just let it all out. I was actually, believe it or not, living in Tulsa at the time, and I get this call. It actually came through the order, and it was a family who owned a twin home that was built in 1904, originally owned by a Christian college up until the late 70s when their parents purchased it and turned it into a revenue stream, of course, rentals. And now there's 3 siblings, 3 sons. Each one of them graduated with advanced degrees in religious theology. One became, I think, a bishop. I never met him. Another, a banker. And the other instructor for Catholic school, and they were convinced that there was a demon resident in this home. And now this home had a history in it. What I've learned was there was a young man who lived there walked out of it with a shotgun, walked to a grocery store about half a mile down the street, walked into the grocery store and unloaded 4 shells into his father's chest.
Wow.
And he doesn't remember doing it. There was a suicide. A man hung himself. There was another murder where a girl was living there. Her estranged boyfriend came in and murdered her toddler. There were 2 people who were taken out in cuffs and leg chains and committed for mental insanity. Numerous abandonments where they just walked out and left everything in there. One of them was described as having a cereal still in the bowl and coffee still on the sink. Diary was found of a young teen or a tween describing demons attacking them. They found voodoo dolls. So we get this call, and
wait, all of this happened in 100 years.
All of this happened within 15 years.
15 years. The house was built in 1904, and it's a duplex, right?
Right.
So the same action going on both sides of the wall, if you will.
Yep.
That's crazy.
All of this started in the mid-90s. They didn't have any problems until then. I go, the initial interview, the owner is an elderly woman, and, I was informed that there was no electricity or water, and of course nobody in it. It was all basically shuttered in a sense. They didn't want anybody in it, and she wanted us to clear it so that she could have a clear conscience before she sells it. She needed to unload it. She's elderly. It's just time. So I pull up, and that project that you talked about that we're not supposed to talk about.
Right.
You may have seen footage of my daughter. She came with me, and there's a young man who likes to walk with her. She goes hand in hand and films her. The 3 of us pull up into one side. Now we notice 2 dormers above the doors. There's the second stories, and we notice one's darkened and one's lightened. We specifically talked about it being the blinds. One had many blinds shut, and the other blinds were open, given that illusion. So I leave the car, and I walk over to the other driveway to talk to the little old lady, help her out of the car. I am a gentleman, believe it or not.
Okay.
The young man came running up, just frantic, and whispered in my ear, somebody just looked out the second story window.
Oh, man.
And I looked up, and I saw the blinds opening. I turned to the lady. I said, we think somebody's in the house. Can you give me the key, and I'll run in and try to catch him. I open the door. I run straight to the back door. There's only one other door out the back, and it's dead bolted in a way that you have to have a key to actually unlock it from either side, and it is locked. So there's no basement. I'm making a beeline straight upstairs. Only 2 bedrooms and a bathroom up there. Nobody in the attic. And that fear before the break we talked about, I've never felt fear like that. You could taste the metal. I had so much fear going on.
Right.
So obviously I bring a team back, right? And copious EVPs. And this is the one where I personally saw a dresser move across the room.
So there was furniture in the house when you got there?
Just a couple spatterings of furniture, yeah.
Right,
This was a pretty big desk is what it was. And it was pretty heavy. And it didn't levitate, but it was tossed across the wood floor. It went about 8 feet. And there were pictures hanging, creepy pictures that were taken off the wall and tossed down the hallway. A light fixture, the glass bulb on the light was taken off and set down on the wood floor unbroken. And we have 3 of these on video literally coming down and not breaking. A light bulb coming out of a closet, rolling out of a closet. In the end, we were unable to get back in there to clear it before they sold the house, and the demon is still there.
That is absolutely terrifying. And I have an experience similar to that. And if I get back to it, I'll tell you about it. But let me back up for a second. A couple of details here. You said that a light bulb, so the light bulb was in the closet, screwed into the light fixture in the closet, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're saying that it came out, it unscrewed itself, or somebody unscrewed it, if you know what I mean. Something unscrewed. And it hit the ground, didn't break, and rolled out of the closet when you know that it was in the closet, screwed in the light socket.
We have it on video. Nobody was in the room. and it came rolling out the door of that closet.
Obviously, it's impossible for a light bulb not to break. I've never had a light bulb hit the ground and not break in my life, right? That's part of being light bulb owners, is if you drop a light bulb, they break. They do not bounce. And did you hear it hit the floor?
No, there was no sound to it, and even rolling, there wasn't any sound. And, unfortunately, it is still there. I know it is. And this particular one, this is where it gets real dangerous. And I guess I'm a little ashamed of myself. There is a psychic actually out there by the name of Kimber Chase, and she reached me out of the blue. I had never heard of her. She's actually been friends of some of the big names out there in paranormal. But she reached out to me and said that this was an extremely ancient demon, and I was not to take my daughter back there because she would be attacked. Little did I know that, I work with, Catholics, actually, believe it or not, in our catechisms. We have what we call mystics. Well, they're psychics. So we do work with psychics. We take as much as what they say as we can, because there's always lies on the other side. But another psychic told me that this particular one was a Nephilim. And if you remember the book of Genesis, Nephilim are the spawn of the angels and women, human women. The angels were called watchers. And ultimately, that's one of the reasons we had Noah's flood. God needed to start over and killed them all. So we have these demons, and that's what they think is in this particular town. And unfortunately, I think this whole town is just having issues. But now, my daughter did, as I mentioned earlier, end up what I am convinced being spiritually attacked. I think it may have been a little premature to say that it was that particular case. I think it was a different case. In fact, I think it was the case that we'll listen to the EVP on.
Okay, let me back up. You didn't see the ghost look out the window, but somebody did, right?
Correct. Yes, I saw the blinds literally. You know how you twist it and it moves? I saw them move like that, open, continue opening, and then I saw something like two fingers going between two slats and lift them open.
Male, female? What did the apparition look like?
I could not see any apparition.
Okay, interesting. But you saw the two fingers?
No, I did not see the two fingers. That's what the movement looked like with the slats opening.
Okay, well, let me tell you what I saw, what happened to me. Nearly identical. I feel like the lawyer or the prosecutor in My Cousin Vinny. Identical. In that I pulled up a girlfriend's house, back house, 2:00 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning in Hollywood. And I look over at the house. I expected them to be there, but because we had left the club at the same time, I just beat them there, right? So I'm sitting in the driveway waiting for them to pull up behind me. It's going to be any second. I look over at the house, which had a big picture window in the front. And, large, like, 4 foot by 8 foot, large picture window. And I look over and I see the curtains pulled to the side with a face looking out at me. And it's only 20 feet away, right? It's 20 feet away. And
Can't miss it.
Yeah, and although this is at night, there's a light in the back, and it's all lit up, and it's city light, and it's like daylight outside. But anyway, so I see this. I went, oh, her roommate's here. That's strange. Her car's not here, but okay, roommate's here. Cool. So I turn off my car, turn off the radio, get out of the car, and I walk up, and I'm waiting for the front door to open up because they know that I'm there, right? We just made eye contact. And the door doesn't open. And I wait there for a minute, and it doesn't open. Then I knock. Nothing. And now I'm a little bit pissed because they're making me wait outside. That's not polite, right? And I go and I wait. Nothing happens. I go back, and I'm sitting out there for 20 minutes, and I keep looking back at the house, and I'm waiting, but nobody opens up the door. And then they come home. They pull up, and I'm like, what's going on? What's her name is, whatever her name was, this is 25 years ago, 1980, 80, 87, 88, 89, right in there. And she goes, no, she's with Chris. They're going to be here in a few minutes. I'm like, what are you talking about? Somebody's in the house. And we freak out. Chris pulls up and the roommate pulls up. We're running up to the front of the house. We unlock the door and we're ready to go in and kick ass and take names like you did, right?
Right.
Same story, right? And we go in and the first place I run to, and I've told the story on the air, which is strange. First thing I do is I go to the back door. It's
right,
locked.
Head him off.
Right. It's locked. We search the house. There's nobody there. And we... and I go back. This was the crazy thing, Tim, is I go back to the front window and I pull the curtains aside and I look back at my car, right? And I'm just imagining this and I'm pulling the curtains back. I'm like, man, something, and I'm tripping out because I'm like, there's no way these curtains move by themselves. And I saw the face and we got pretty worked up over it. Now, nothing happened for the rest of the night, but this is what gets crazy. The next day, the landlord comes over, and my memory says he was an older Asian guy, right? And we're telling him about what happened the night before, and this is what he says to us. He goes, last year, and I think it was his son, again, this is 25, almost 30 years ago now, killed himself, lit himself on fire in the front house.
You're kidding me.
Right. And I go, say what? What did you just say? And he opens up the back door, and we look in, and in front of the fireplace that I could see, I'm looking in, is this black burnt circle in front of the fireplace. And he says, that's why I can't rent this house out. It's been, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're renting this back house out to people that, knowing that in the front house there was a suicide by fire. In this house. So now, is it connected? Don't know. The story is 30 years old now, and that's it. But that was our experience, and it was nearly identical with what you just shared with us right now. So when you say this is, I don't mean to cut you off, but when you say a story like this and you're relating a story like this, I'm listening, brother, because that's exactly what happened to me.
Oh, wow. In human emotion at the time something like that happens is so strong. We just did a case in fact. I'm going to say it again, and, I'm always getting in trouble. But that project, the footage, I don't know if, Doug Wilson. I provided him a picture, and you have to see this picture. There's hand marks that were chemically burned into the wood. You just have to look at this.
Wow.
Get a hold of Doug and look at this picture I sent him.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, you're making me want to call him now. I just saw Doug a couple of days ago. Really cool dude. Great director, and really knows what's going on out there. Now, what do you think see, this is the thing. I'm listening to you relate your experience with me, and then immediately I just go, well, yeah, okay. Yeah, that, goes off the checklist, exactly what happened to me. And when you hear me relate this type of story and experience back to you, what are you thinking there? Is this a ghost? Is this a demon? And or what is the difference between a ghost and a spirit and a demon? What are we dealing with? Because a lot of us would think that they're all one and the same.
And you're right. A lot of people do. In fact, I work with a gal who's a psychiatrist, and ask her to review some things for me every once in a while. And she doesn't believe in demons, but right off the bat, demons are inhuman. They were never human, right? A lot of people say a demon is a fallen angel. There's other facets that could be demons. I previously mentioned the Nephilim, and there's evil incarnate. Human emotions can create, beings that are evil in nature. But spirits and ghosts, generally, when somebody says that, it's a human spirit. And human spirits can, if you're, you said not to curse on the show, so I'm going to say if you're a butthead in life, you can be a butthead in death. And there are those who really tried to do as much harm like a demon as possible. And, most would actually say it was a demon. So I guess that there's thin lines and it's gray. To me, in the order we specifically define demons as anything anti-Christ. So if it is anti-Christ teaching and does not like Christ in a sense, that to us is a demon.
Now, why is it that, like this landlord that I just related to you, and you were talking about the old lady, right?
Right.
Why is it that they can rent out a house and not disclose that the damn place is haunted? Or do they have to? And with that duplex out there, with its crime history that was tied to it as well, is this stuff disclosed or not?
In Kansas law, you don't have to disclose that anybody has passed in there, and certainly I don't. It was one case, and I think it was back in New York, where I'm going to call it a Queen Anne mansion was advertised as being haunted at one time and then sold, and the people who bought it had such paranormal activities that they ended up leaving and defaulting, but it went to court, and the court backed the fact that it was actually haunted because it was previously advertised as such, and so they were obligated to disclose it so that people were able to get out of their loan.
Oh, that's interesting. And so if a house has been previously haunted, that's interesting. So they don't have to disclose?
Not in Kansas or anyway.
Wow.
I don't know of anywhere where they would.
Wow, that's interesting. And oh man. Now, right after the break, we're going to play this EVP and we're going to get this set up. With a haunting, I want a clear definition here. What do you think a ghost is? Is it something that's electromagnetic? Is it residual? Is it a relative? Is it somebody that can't pass to the other side and they're stuck at that location? What is it? What is a ghost?
So, you know what an EKG is, right?
Of course.
Okay, so it's electrocardiogram is testing for your electrical system in your body, right? And one of the things that Einstein taught us is you cannot destroy or create energy, you can only change it. When you die, what happens to that energy that the EKG is checking out?
Biggest mystery ever.
So now all you have to do is prove consciousness, right?
Right.
So that's what I'm convinced. So, and everybody's saying electromagnetic frequency, and that's kind of a misnomer. It's actually electromagnetic radiation that you're checking out. So this radiation can actually interact with other inert gases or, even ozone, water vapor, whatever have you. And when this energy or radiation comes through and they start to manifest, they're creating a reaction of the environment, which is what you're seeing.
Have you seen a ghost?
Oh, absolutely.
I've had a few callers call in and relate a couple of strange stories over the years that are eerily similar. And one of them, and he's probably listening right now, told us a story about this old farm property it's on the East Coast and in the South Carolina, Virginia, in that area. And said that he would go out and this one piece of property, he would see what looked like, I want to use the word black and white, like sepia tone images of children playing. And that was obviously a time period thing, a couple of 100 years old. And he would see that, what is going on there? Is that something residual that, or are they ghosts, or is it something that is frozen in time electromagnetically, like you're referring to now?
Like a timestamp. So a friend of mine, Terry Rowe, actually, this is his field of study, and he's specifically convinced that there are, minerals in the earth as well as within your walls in the woods, that would actually record strong emotional events and then replay them. EMF actually does not stand for electromagnetic frequency. That was coined in the 70s, and it's wrong. It actually means electromotive force. And what that means is the propensity, loosely defined as the propensity of, hey, you couldn't say SOSM.
Yes, right.
but the propensity of matter to have energy. So it is important for us to know this. So certain things could more, wood wouldn't have as much energy as a metal, for instance. You could think of it as conductive, but everything stores energy at a certain way. But so we're just really starting to kind of understand that. So is it absorbing those emotions and playing it back? That's what most think. So that ground that those children could have been playing on could have been full of crystal or quartz or, silicone.
Just recorded like magnetic tape.
That's what I'm thinking.
Now, which is interesting because in the case of EVPs, and we're going to be playing yours after the break, why is it that EVPs can get recorded from something that isn't physical? Is it because it is electric and it is going through electric circuitry?
I would say it's obviously placed there. It's got to be placed there because, one, we don't hear it, so you're not getting sound waves, right?
Right.
So it's electromagnetic in nature. But also, you're talking about different types of media. We're using digital now, but back in the day, you were using tape.
Right.
So you're talking about different types of energy there, or different frequencies anyway. So to me, it has to be intentional.
Would you advise people that watch, Zach Bagans and Ghost Hunters and these shows to go out and do EVPs in their own home?
Absolutely not. Unless they want to haunt. I mean, if they want to be scared and they want to haunt and they want to live with a ghost or, possibly invite something inhuman into the house, go ahead.
Right. I have all kinds of digital recorders. I have tons here in the bunker. not tons, but I probably have 5. And I am scared. I don't think I should go over to the house and start asking questions unless I really want to know what could possibly be there. Because EVPs, if they're recording stuff that you can't hear, Timothy, and I think you're saying this right now, it's going on all the time. You just don't hear it, right?
I think so. I joke. I think it was, I was just telling Bob, I can walk into a convenience store and get an EVP.
Right, exactly. And that's the frightening part. You could have a brand new house built last week. It doesn't matter if it's a 200, 300-year-old house or something that's brand new. Chances are, if you want to go out there and roll the dice, something is going to be there.
You nailed it.
Man, that just scares me. Let's take a break right here. When we come back, yeah, that's it. We've been talking about it, and we're going to set up this EVP. It's crazy. You know what's really great about this, Tim, and I'm going to be honest, I don't even need this EVP will back itself up. And this is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Timothy Earl, Demonologist, Flatland Investigations. I'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall. And it's out of here!
for this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With the mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me right now on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Timothy at Timothy Earl, SOSM. And, of course, that is that is the Sacred Order of St. Michael. See, Timothy, are you impressed?
I'm very impressed. I'm even more impressed by your taste in music. I got to tell you, I've always liked that.
Yeah, that is a guitar player. You probably know him. His name is Doug Aldrich. And yep. Doug played in White Snake, and of course he played in Dio, and an old friend of mine, and I actually worked on that album that we're listening to, and it's just one of my favorites, and it's really tasty stuff. He can play. He can.
Yes, he can.
You know what's funny? Those tracks that we're listening to, and I talk about this all the time when people bring it up, that the guitar solo in that thing that we were just listening to, so it gets recorded, and I look at, and he's literally chewing gum, right? Sitting in a chair, and he looks at me and he goes, "Was that good?" And I'm in a trance, right? I'm in a trance. I'm like in another world. And he goes, "Let's do another one." I'm like, dude, we're moving on. Man. Okay, so I've got a whole list of questions that have been sent in from the listeners that I got to get to tonight, and we're going to do that. But I don't want to tease anybody anymore about this EVP. So let's start there. What's the setup? When and where? And we'll get to that in a second. But set us up. What's the environment?
So let me preface right off to everybody who's listening. I do have express permission to be able to share this. Anybody who sees my website, or they get so frustrated with me because I don't share the good stuff. Well, I view this as somebody's personal space. And I don't go running to social media and showing all the pictures of ghosts or, these EVPs. So tonight's pretty special. I picked this one out because I think it really shows the power and of what we can encounter. Now, this is a client who reached out to me because they were having some activity, and she said that I could share a little more than I originally was. She's sitting here texting me throughout the show here.
I'm watching it. I'm watching it too as well. Is that who we're talking about? I think is she tweeting right now?
No, that's not her. That is Annette, actually. Annette Kelly. She's actually one of the voices in this EVP.
Okay, good. She goes, "I know which one. I think I know."
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Annette, how you doing? Okay. All right. So go ahead. Continue.
So this is one of the cases that I actually kind of ignored, and they had to kind of lean on me to get to a little bit of it due to distance. But finally got down there, and it was late. I was told it's not if I'm going to have an experience down there, it is what. So I did that initial interview that we spoke about, and come to find out, we actually got a pretty good EVP just right out of that interview. And the clock stopped even when I was down there. Well, not new, but it's interesting. I bring the team back down, and Annette's part of this team. We do an initial walkthrough while it's light. The property is actually 4 locations that are affected, but we're concentrating on 2. The client's house and then one across the street, which is an empty home, and it is so haunted that they can't keep it rented. So we decided to stay the night, right? And set up our sleeping mats and things over in that empty home.
Mistake number 1.
Oh, no, it's awesome.
Oh, yeah, right.
So we do a walkthrough of the client's home, and we're in her bedroom, and we've already got EVPs up to this point, but we don't know it at this time. But the client is describing being in the presence of the entity as being, and this is where you'll get it, as being a very low bass sound, like you're at a concert and it's vibrating your bones. Okay? That's what she describes, being in the presence of this entity. Now, the video is rolling. 30 seconds after she talks about being in the presence of it, about describing it, you see this upright shadow, humanoid shadow, go across the reflection of the TV, then across the wall, then out the door, down the hallway towards the living room.
What?
So we wrap up in there, and now we're out in the living room.
Wait. You see the shadow yourself?
In the video.
Wow.
I know. We did not see it with our naked eyes. So we're in the now we're in the living room, and I'm starting to set up some equipment for the investigation. We're going into a demonic investigation. And the voices that you hear, there's only 2 voices that are in the room. One is Annette and one's the client, and they're talking back and forth. Do you want to play it now? And
no, keep going.
There's a third voice that you're going to hear talking over the client, and then it goes into that low noise. So the third voice is speaking Latin, and there's 2 words that they're speaking. Now, some people, the second word is definitely demonis, which means the demon. The first word, people try to argue. Everybody has opinion, and one of them, one that people think it is a different enunciation of Aguirus. Well, Aguirus is a demon that actually runs 30 legions of demons and is the Grand Duke of Eastern Hell. So I don't think it's Aguirus. I think that if Aguirus was there, we would know. I think that would be something different. What I do think it is Arachis, which means feminine. And that ties into what we were first contacted with from this client, which was a picture of the Hat Man. The Hat Man is known to affect females, especially females who are, childbearing or pregnant or having a miscarriage. So for some reason, and the Hat Man loves to be around miscarriages. So it all somewhat ties in together.
Okay, I'm going to play this now. And everybody, when you listen to it, we're going to listen to it a few times. But when you listen to it, listen to all of it. Listen to the very beginning and listen to the end. Here we go. Just a little click.
Yes, that's why we have surgeries. That's why I get upset when I'm going.
That's insanity. Okay, now the low rumbling that is there. I heard that out of the gate, and it is loud and creepy, but the Latin voice is at the very front, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, now I'm going to play this again for everybody. Here we go.
Yes, that's why we have surgeries. That's why I get upset when I'm going.
Now, oh man, that is just frightening. What is? I'm going to play it again for everybody, but what is? Have you translated the Latin section?
Yeah, so the Latin is Auritus Demonis, so feminine demon, and the low rumble is actually the demon's name.
That is crazy. Okay, I'm going to listen to it again and say now, what is the Latin part? Because you can hear it clearly, but say it for it. What is it?
Auritus Demonis.
Okay, here we go, everybody.
For 11 was yes. That's why we have surgeries. That's why I get upset when I'm going.
That's insanity. Tim,
Right.
that is like the craziest EVP I have ever heard.
And it terrified me when I heard it because I knew immediately, even though, the beatings by Sister Amina didn't teach me Latin very well. But I knew it was Latin, and I recognized the Demonis, and I knew that sound was, that whatever was trying to tell us, that was the name. So
I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this again, everybody. And as you hear, Annette is speaking with, there's two women present, right?
Right.
So Annette is speaking with who? Can you say her name?
I don't want to out her.
Okay,
but,
that's fine.
It is the client.
Okay, so, I understand now. Okay, so Annette is speaking, but they're speaking in English. And you hear this third voice right in the middle of Annette speaking with the client. Now listen for this again. It's right at the very front.
For 11 was yes. That's why we have surgeries. That's why I get upset when I'm going.
That's insanity. And now Annette has joined us, by the way. She's not on the show, but she's in Twitter right now. And did Annette hear this third voice?
No, Annette did not. None of us heard it. Bob was the first one to hear it. Member on my team that goes over all of our media. And I was just flabbergasted when I heard it for the first time myself.
Because it's as loud as Annette's conversation that she's having with the client. It's audibly just as loud as theirs.
And we have all sorts of this particular location EVPs. One, I mentioned the initial interview. I turned around and said, Psalms 91, and then you hear a creepy voice say, "Go ahead and try it." We have, we stayed the night in that empty home, and about every 30 to 45 seconds, there was a whisper directly into the mic. And when you hear an EVP, you've been doing sound. I'm sure you've heard of EVPs before. It just comes out of left field where, you hear the bass line of the conversation, and an EVP just comes out of left field. But the one about every 30 to 45 seconds, we got an EVP, and most of them were "help me." So,
yeah, I hate those. I really do. But what's interesting here about this, and I'm going to play it again, is a lot of EVPs are very low in the background. They have to be amplified and brought up and clarified. And you wouldn't even hear the EVP normally. It would just go by. But you have to look at the files, and you look at the waveforms, and you can pick stuff out. This, on the other hand, is clearly there. You don't have to amplify this. It is part of Annette's conversation that is going on in the background. So I'm going to play this again, and just listen to this, everybody. And come on. Here we go.
For 11 was yes. That's why we have surgeries. That's why I get upset when I'm going.
That's the most insane EVP I've ever heard.
And that is unedited. I only clipped it. So, and this client, she's a beautiful soul. Oh, man, is she a wonderful woman. And, she's tough. She's very tough. And she has her family around her supporting her through this. And I know that they've definitely, at minimum, taken solace that they were, validated. As soon as they, I showed them the pictures and video and they heard this, they were definitely happy that they weren't, going insane. And that's pretty powerful in itself.
Yeah, totally. And I'm watching Annette here in Twitter. Annette, use hashtag F2B. Okay, that way you can everybody can see what you're commenting. She's talking directly to me, which is great. But the audience, hashtag F2B, Annette, and then everybody here tonight will see your conversation in the sandbox, because she's making really great comments here. She said no, she just felt a presence but didn't hear that with my own ears. And that's crazy. I mean, it is so audibly present here. And the frightening part is she didn't hear it. And I got to say, so when you go back and you listen to it later, that's probably scarier than hearing it in real time. You know what I mean? That this presence is there, but you don't know because you have to later on find out that these conversations are going on when you were there. That just scares me.
So, I'm trying to get him to let me rent out that other haunted house that's empty.
Yeah. Okay. Now I want to go back and analyze this a little bit more, but tell me now about, what was going on across the street in these 3 other properties.
Well, the family was, I really don't want to get too much out there, but the family in my mind was lured there, possibly, most likely actually, by a curse. And I think that ultimately, some ancestors of theirs may have done something to irritate some indigenous people. So with that, they ended up moving into this rural area, residential area, in the shape of a triangle.
Right.
And their plots lined out a shape of a triangle. And this one particular home was dead set in the middle, and one of the family members ended up purchasing it after the elderly couple had passed and turning it into a stream of income. But it was just too haunted. They couldn't keep it rented.
Okay, everybody's asking to hear it again. Okay, I'll play it again right now. Here it comes. And again, just to set up so you need to understand what's going on. There's a conversation with Annette and the client at the very beginning. You hear those 2 conversations in English, and then at the same time, at the very front, you hear a woman speaking Latin. And that Latin phrase is, again, Tim, what is it?
It is Arachis Demonis. So I'm going to spell it. Arachis. And the second word is Demonis.
Arachis Demonis. Okay, here you go. And then listen to the low rumble. Here we go. The low rumble is the demon itself. Here we go.
Yes, that's why we have surgeries. That's why I get upset when I'm going.
Wow, that's crazy. And you mentioned that low rumble was saying the demon's name. And what was that?
Oh, I cannot. That sound itself is the name. That is the name.
Oh, that's even scarier.
Right. So whenever she's in the presence of this demon, it rumbles her bones. It rumbles her to the core. And yeah, it's terrifying her. Obviously, that's what it wants to do. But it's also telling her who it is and what it is by doing that.
I'm going to ask Annette really quick to answer this question for everybody out there. Annette, did you hear this low rumble, or did you feel it in your bones? We know the client did, but Annette, did you hear or feel this low rumble in your bones? Wow, that is the craziest EVP ever. Wow. I mean, there are ghost hunters and demonologists out there that do their whole careers and never have anything like this happen. And you're saying this is just a piece of it. You've got lots of stuff like this.
Well, yeah. Of course, I'm being dispatched to the worst of the worst. And but it's not my favorite, believe it or not. My favorite was just a fun ghosty tour, out at one of the historic forts here in Kansas, where we saw a ghost walk out from behind an obelisk in a cemetery, walk up behind a gal and pinched her on the rear.
What is it? I was going to ask you this earlier. What is it? I mean, obviously there's dead bodies in the ground, but what is it about cemeteries?
Yeah, you think that's where they wouldn't want to be, right?
Right, exactly.
But, people do get things, and this one in particular was actually desecrated. Back in the 1970 time frame, they were restoring this Fort Larned, which is an old frontier fort, and they just literally plowed up the actual cemetery and just pushed off graves and stuff into a ditch off to the side, and bones, and So it was pretty desecrated in that. And then they put up, fake markers to make it look pretty. So in that sense alone, I can understand. But
yeah, and that just hit me back. She says, I could feel it and hear it, but wasn't sure what was going on. And now she knows. Wow, man. Oh, that is the most insane EVP ever. And thank you for that, and thank you for sharing it with the audience. And the reason why I bring up cemeteries is I want to share this story with you, and maybe you can tell me what is going on. I've told the story many times, and I'm going to give you the short version of it. I'm driving down a road that I know really well in Indianapolis, and I look to my left. I'm by myself in a car, and I look to my left, and I see this house for rent. It says for rent, and it's got a pool in the front yard, small house, with a white picket fence around the house. Very cool, for rent. I'm thinking, man, it's the middle of the summer. Let's get my bros together. Let's rent this house, and it's got an in-ground pool in the front yard. This is going to be cool. And I go back to the house, and I'm checking it out. I'm looking in the windows and doing everything. And then I notice right next to the property is like it's in the woods, by the way, and is maybe 8 or 10, a family graveyard right next to the house. There's a fence, a chain link fence, short, a chain link fence, and I see these 8 or 10 gravestones over there, and I'm thinking to myself, I turn around and look at the house. Screw it, I don't care about the graveyard. This place is cool, and it's got this pool in the front yard. I can deal with the graveyard because the house is too cool. So I'm all excited. I get in my car, I go back, and I grab my friends, and we drive back to, I want to show it to them. Let's rent this place. And the house isn't there. And I drive up and down this street, and I go down the other streets that are next to it. It's not there. And my friends are now looking at me like I'm crazy. They're making the funny jokes. Church, you got to stop, you got to stop smoking so much weed. And this was, I'm going to go back, and this was 1983, 82, 83, right in that period, which would make it over 30 years ago. So I'm a kid. I'm 20 years old, right? I'm 20, 21. I might have been 20. And we could never find the house ever again. And what do you think was happening there for this house to be there once and then disappear? I don't want to sound like the crazy guy, but this actually happened. What do you think is going on?
Was this the 80s when acid was around?
Yeah. Oh, nice shot across the bow, Tim.
I don't know what to say.
I know.
I don't know.
The story is true, and the story is just like I just presented it. I have no clue. I have none. I have no answer for my friends either that at that time that said you've lost your mind. But I got out of the car and physically walked up. I was on this property.
Yeah, you're not the first to say a story like this by any means. I've heard them. People have the physical experiences. They were there. They interacted with some physical object, and then they're unable to do so again later. What happens? How does that happen? Is it something that's being planted into your head? This could be a real deep conversation.
Yes. And time slip. I don't know. I think for some reason, I think that graveyard had something to do with it. That's the only weirdness part of it. I don't know.
I would say you're right.
Okay. Let me, I've got calls coming in. You know what? After the break, everybody, I'm going to get into some of your questions that have been sent in here. I'm going to hit one now. And if Tim would like to take some calls, I'll open up the phone lines after the break. Okay.
Sure.
And they, you know what? Okay. I'm going to do this just for grins. Let's take a call right now. And hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Tim Earl. You're live. Okay. That call dropped just like that. Okay. Now, what is the order of St. Michael? What is that exactly?
So Archbishop File is our chief exorcist, and he founded the order, and it's it's really a brotherhood is the way I look at it. And that is people who are called to this ministry of helping people, specifically on this subject line, obviously. And, it's pretty unique. Not everybody can do this. And, we support each other. We prop each other up. We teach each other. I intend to visit my brother out there, Joe, who's laid up in the hospital here next week. And we do everything that we can to help, what we believe is Christ's children with this enemy that is the demonic. And to us, it's a war. So you could think of us kind of as a legion in a sense. And it's really a unique group to be associated with by far. I remember I was on the phone speaking with somebody. I'm sure it was one of the bishops, and I'm sure I was in trouble for something. I don't know. I'm always in trouble. But I turned around and I mentioned, being in the order of exorcists, and I was in line at a grocery store, and I got off the phone, and there's this woman standing there just white as a ghost, jaw on the floor. She goes, "You guys exist?"
Right.
Well, we do. I'm just a guy, I am enjoying the music that you're playing. I work. Everything's, it's a true 501c. I pay everything out of pocket, everything that I do. And there's absolutely no charge for these services, and we believe it as a true ministry.
When you kick it up a level and you've got to go and pull it in as an exorcism, does this have to go all the way over to the Vatican? Is there a protocol, or does it stay inside the United States?
No, it goes to Archbishop File. No. And, I will turn a case over to him, and he will dispatch it to an exorcist, a trained exorcist. I can be instructed to go back and do it again if I could do it wrong. And I can be instructed to do, certain types of deliverances or blessings. There's all different ways this can go down, but we handle it within our own organization. I don't even report to any diocese. I am a member of the Wichita Diocese. I go to a parish down the street, but no, we stay autonomous.
And have you ever been wrong? And what I was going to say, is there a penalty for being wrong?
Have you been talking to my wife?
Yeah, right. Exactly. And you know exactly what I mean. Have you ever been wrong? Have you ever gone up a level and brought, the professionals in and have it not be a possession?
I haven't done that. I've unfortunately called it a haunt, and it turned out to be something much bigger. So I have been wrong, yes.
Let's take a break right here. And when I come back, I know everybody wants to hear this one more time, and I'll leave that up to Tim, but it is the craziest EVP I have ever heard, and I have heard a lot. That is just terrifying. It's funny. I'm watching everybody's reaction, chills. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Timothy Earl, Flatland Investigations. I'll be right back.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Are you tired of brown rust stains on your toilets, sinks, and clothes? Does your water smell and taste bad? Don't live with these problems anymore. Hydrocare's revolutionary well water systems, available at Wave Home Solutions, gives you clean, healthy, great-tasting water from every faucet. They remove iron, hydrogen sulfide, sediment, and many other contaminants that are distasteful and damaging your fixtures. You'll be amazed how fresh and clean well water can be. Satisfaction guaranteed. Go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Fate or not, things are never what they seem. For the past century, forbidden subjects such as UFOs, backward engineering, human abductions, secret space programs, underground bases, suppressed free energy devices, and other fantastic notions have tested the human mind, forcing it to decipher fact from fiction. Chronicling what he calls the alternative narrative, author Brad Olson gets down to the middle of it all in his best-selling book, Future Esoteric, now released in a second edition by CCC Publishing. And now, you can get Future Esoteric at a special price, plus another free book by just using the promo code Jimmy when you check out. Just click on the Future Esoteric or CCC Publishing banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go Beckley Teppy. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Teppy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back. Jimmy Church, Fade to Black. Tonight is day one of our Haunted Places in America week. Our guest tonight, Timothy Earl of Flatland Investigations. We just played an EVP that truly is the craziest EVP that I have ever heard. And I'm going to play that again in just a second. I'm going to grab this phone call. 323-825-5045. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Tim. Okay, that's it. That's it. I put that one to the front of the line, and there you go. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to hit the button. Hi, Tim. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I just brought in the call, and then I didn't actually hit. Okay, hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Tim.
Hey, Tim, it's JC from Colorado.
Hey, JC.
Hey, JC, how you doing?
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, now we got you. That was my bad, okay?
Oh, no, well, you're good, man. Jimmy, you're amazing.
Oh, no, JC, you are.
Hey, Tim, I got a quick question. And I called in to this show because of this. I've never really talked to anybody about this, but I died when I was 19 for 2 minutes and 33 seconds, and I didn't see anything. I honestly don't even remember, like, what happened. So I want to ask you, what do you think is going to happen when you die?
What do I think is going to happen when you die? I think that...
Yeah.
I think that, as we mentioned earlier, the energy that we're measuring in the body through an EKG, I think of that as actually a soul. I think that the energy leaves your body and your consciousness goes with it. And, I know that I'm going to get in trouble, and because I always do, but I mentioned earlier, physics is backing up the Bible these days. So you have these parallel worlds in string theory, and what I honestly think is that because of the state our soul is in at that time, we are able to pass through into this parallel universe which we would refer to as heaven. And if you have not set up your life correctly, or there's a gatekeeper there that says you're not allowed, then you go to a different parallel universe, and that was what we would call hell.
Now, why do you think? I'm going to ask this for JC. Why do you think, Tim, that he didn't see anything?
Yeah, I saw nothing. I had probably a solid time where I knew I was dying, but then afterwards it was nothing, and then I woke up.
You didn't leave. You didn't astral project.
I did nothing. Yeah.
You didn't
it was
leave.
Weird.
You stayed right there, and your brain activity stopped. So you just stayed.
It was just like there's nothingness.
Well, Tim, why do you think he did not see anything?
Because he didn't leave his body.
Yeah. See, JC, I gotta say, I'd rather not see anything, man. I would rather.
I'm totally down with that as well.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I don't want to see like a hell or something like that. But it was weird to me. I had to call in and ask because, like, people tell me that they've seen, relatives or something like that. And I didn't see anything. And I was like, am I, like a bad person or something? I don't know where you go with that.
Yeah, like I said, I'd rather see nothing at all. It's better than seeing the gates of hell, right? So let's go there. But and I've had, I'm sure JC, you've heard the shows I've had with like Danny Brinkley, and a man who has absolutely died twice, been hit by lightning twice.
I've seen that.
Yeah, and he's a great man, and he has he was dead for a very long time, both times, and he has shared his experiences with us. But being dead, clinically dead for 2.5 minutes, that's a very, very long time. And to not to see anything, and that you're able to call into this show, JC, and share that with all of us.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm literally fine.
Yeah, that's a good.
And I'm a good Samaritan. Like I give money to homeless people. Like I just hang out with, I don't know. I'm just a normal kid. I'm 23, and I died when I was 19. And I don't understand why I never saw anything. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, don't ask questions, brother. All right. Hey,
right? Yeah, we're good.
Hey, JC, be safe out there, my brother.
All right, man. Love you guys.
Love you right back. And that's interesting, Tim. Now, listen, I've got to go back to the EVP, and I'm going to do this for everybody because Allison just said something very interesting, and she says that low rumbling is the frequency of the demon. And do I really need to be replaying it over and over again? Because
real quick, before we leave and get onto that, I just want to say we do have a guy like me out there in Colorado by the name of Stephen Wiedner. He's a Benjamin Franklin looking guy. So if JC ever had any issues, he can get a hold of American Association of Paranormal Investigators. That's his group.
Yeah, there you go. And certainly everybody here, you can contact Timothy right through his website too as well, and he can point you in the direction for anything that you would need to go to. Just click on Flatland Investigations over at jimmychurchradio.com. It'll take you straight there. Okay, I'm going to play this EVP again for everybody. Now that we've talked about it enough, which is really cool, everybody knows what to listen for. So you have the Latin in the beginning, which is Archis Demonis, which is a female voice that is going on in between two other women that are talking, which is Annette and the client. Then you hear the low rumble. Here we go. This is definitely, hands down, the craziest EVP I've ever
seen. Yes, that's why we have surgeries. That's why I get upset when I'm going,
man, that is just nuts. It's nuts. It's truly nuts. It's truly nuts. That is the craziest EVP ever, hands down. And I've heard way too many. And, also, I got to go here, Tim, really quick before we move on to questions and phone calls. 323-825-5045. Why is it that, for me, certainly, that the children EVPs are the scariest for me? What is going on? Are they asking for help? Is it a parental thing? What is it about that?
So every case that I've been involved with where a child was being affected or being represented anyway, the child was never the target. It's the adult.
And so why with children is the children? I guess what I'm asking is something even more direct. Is it a child that passed away at the house, or is looking for their parents, lost, stuck in between two realms that they need to get to?
Sure. If a child has passed and they're confused, and a lot of times don't even realize that they have passed.
Right.
They're too innocent and they're not worldly enough. All they know is it's a new experience that they haven't, got used to yet. So that ultimately is what I think is happening. I've only personally encountered 2 actual children spirits, and that was my take on it, that they just had not realized that they had passed, and we were able to help them move on.
Somebody just asked that now that I've played this EVP so many times, do I need a cleansing?
I don't think so.
So I don't need a cleansing meditation. All right. Now, this is from Les. He says, do you feel that saying a demon or devil's name gives that demon power?
No, but what you are doing is calling out to it. That's the ultimate fear of it. So we always look for what I call the imitation. Intentional, unintentional, the spirit boards. Everybody says the Ouija board, right? So you're given an invitation for something to enter your space, your personal space. And what would be nefarious enough to do that? Ultimately a demon. So if you're calling out a demonic name, it's just kind of like yelling out somebody's name in a crowd. Maybe it'll hear, maybe it won't. Most people will just stay on the cautious side.
Randy wants to know about exploding light bulbs, which is what he experienced at his house that his dad built. What's going on there?
If it's not electrical, you have to double check and make sure that you're not getting too many amps through there. But if it's not electrical, then it's very easy for spirits to manipulate electricity. We talk about the electromagnetic spectrum, and that is true. They will manifest and operate within that spectrum, usually down around the VLF, very low frequency, or ultra low frequencies. But obviously, if you're seeing them, they're up around the 800 nanometers, the vision range. So they can move in and out of that, but they can also create amplification of existing energy, and it'd be real easy for them to explode a light bulb.
The ghost that you saw, and it was interesting how when I asked you about that, you just went, yes, I've seen them. Are you seeing ghosts of your loved ones that you know who they are?
I don't. We get visitors all the time, and especially if I have a case coming up, they'll come visit me prior to. But my wife and my daughter certainly does, and it's my understanding that my brother who has passed has came to visit a couple of times as well.
Allison just said, "What do you think you're doing playing that frequency identity over and over?" She goes, freaking hello, all uppercase. The voice in the EVP, this is from Mark in Australia. He says, the voice in the EVP sounds like one of the ladies' voices. Why do you think that is?
Mimicking the voice? I don't know. They really do like to mimic somebody's voice. You hear that all the time. Somebody hears their name called by their loved one or a friend, and they're not there. The mimicking of the voice, to me, has always been something nefarious, whether it was a human trying to be demonic or something actually demonic. They just like to do that. Now, some people tend to think, that they're bending the existing sound waves. So in bending, and manipulating those sound waves, it's just going to come right back at you as the sound that's being projected.
Randy just came back, the exploding light bulbs. He just came back with the house was checked. The electricity was given a clean bill of health.
Probably amplifying the ozone that's in the light bulb itself, whatever gas was in it.
You think a spirit was doing that, or a demon?
Very easily could be. Wow. You'd want to. The one thing that anybody thinks that they're having a paranormal experience in their home, start a journal. Take a spiral notepad, throw it on the counter, and anytime something paranormal happens, write it down. The date, the time, what happened, who was there previously, what the mood was like. Don't worry so much about the weather. You can always look that up, but start a journal. I mean, that's the best way to identify patterns. And if there is something paranormal happening, you'll eventually find a pattern.
Is it because you would probably forget? I mean, you would, you think to yourself, I'm always going to remember this. It's not that big of a deal. But a couple of months later, a couple of months have gone by. You only remember 2 events, but 60 happened. And if you had written them down, then they would be there.
Well, there's one in particular that comes to mind. A woman was in a small town nearby was having a problem, and she didn't realize that it was actually happening about a little after 11 o'clock every night. And we were able to pinpoint a time, and long story short, it was a gentleman a couple houses down was into shortwave radio, and he would come home after work, get on his radio with this big old giant tower out the back and start transmitting. And she was, picking up on that and seeing shadows. All I had to do is go knock on his door. He allowed me to ground his tower, and it went away. The haunt went away.
Okay, but was it a haunt?
No.
What was manifesting the shadows?
Ultra low frequencies can actually create hallucinations. It can make you feel fear. It can make you see shadows.
Make you sick.
Right. And actually make you taste things.
Yes,
so
that's right.
It can really mess with you. And that's basically what was happening to her. She was seeing shadows, alone at night, single mom, actually. Her children were asleep. She was seeing shadows, and it terrified her. And it was ultimately a physical reaction to what was going on with that shortwave radio.
Now, what's happening when you have, positive, loving visitations from relatives that have passed?
So it's my personal belief that nothing's happening without being allowed through Christ. So Christ is allowing somebody to come reassure somebody else. There's a reason that they're there. Even if it's just a loved one wants to come and visit. I know that I was actually interacted with by my deceased brother, and it was in a joking manner, but it was also at a time that I needed a little bit of uplift. Catholics believe in purgatory. That is, you're not going to hell, but you're not cleansed enough of your sins to be able to go into heaven. So you got to work on it a bit. And that's why we think that these ghosts are around us, is they're in this purgatory, and they have to work some things out.
And these questions are just flooding in now. Okay. As a long time, this is from EJK, as a long time as a long-time
SOSM.
Thank you, sir. All right. As a long-time practitioner of ceremonial magic, I've had no problems with demons. But what does Mr. Earl think of sage smudging?
So, in Catholic Mass, in most apostolic masses, actually, you'll see a priest walk down with an incense, swinging it back and forth. That's frankincense usually. we do believe that there are incense out there that actually cleanse the environment. And yes, sage is known to be one, but there's also, like I said, frankincense, there's lavender. There's, a list out there. Anybody wants to Google it. But yeah, we do actually believe that that works. I don't like sage. To me, it smells like pot. I don't want it around. I don't want a cop to pull me over after somebody's been smudging me with sage. So I do use others.
Okay, what does sage do? I don't even know what smudging means, other than the direct definition of it. Like physically smudging it. So, are you burning it in a house, or are you rubbing it on the walls? I mean, what does that mean?
So I think it was actually just a slang term coined in the direct sense of what you're thinking. But it's burning of an incense to actually push out a negative energy. Why and how it works, I got to be honest with you. I've heard a lot of different theories behind it, and I haven't liked any of them. There is actually some studies that have been completed that shows that a person will be more harmonized or relaxed after with certain incense, when they're burned. And with that, it's probably the human emotion that's being brought down to a good vibration in a sense.
The most famous question of all, but I've got to do it. What about salt lines?
So,
you've heard all of this a million times, I can tell. So, but yeah, well, I mean, we've all seen it, right? Pouring salt along a door, a circle, around the edges of a room, and so forth. Is that effective, and what does it do?
Well, we do, and we bless salt, and you have to be wary of the salt that you get. You just don't go walking into any store and buy blessed salt. And a lot of us believe that you don't buy blessed objects. It's got to be given. So the salt, there's a specific blessing that needs to be done to it, and it removes the demons. It's actually exercise. Same thing with chalk, and even holy water. Holy water, there's different types of blessings of those. I know of one that takes a few days. Yeah, salt we do use. I do use. In fact, I'm looking, and I got a Facebook message from my Benjamin Franklin looking friend for calling him that. But I have some black salts right here, and from him. I've made my own black salt. I'm using blessed salt from a monastery, and get the ash from the burnt palms from Palm Sunday to mix with them, and it's very powerful, especially with specific blessings or prayers. One of my favorite is Saint Benedict, and there's a specific symbol, and I like to use the salt to lay out that symbol with that prayer, and you step in it, nothing's touching you. Nothing.
Really?
Absolutely.
Interesting. This is from Nicole. She says, have you investigated butterfly people, angels, that some children see helping out during the Joplin tornado?
I heard about that. Joplin's not too far away from me. In fact, right. A lot of my friends went and helped. I heard of that. No, I did not investigate that, but I don't know anybody who has. If she has any idea of an article out there, I'd love to read it.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Nicole, you know what to do. You can just contact him on his website, and you can do that through jimmychurchradio.com. Have you ever done an investigation and found humor present? And can ghosts be funny?
Absolutely. So I mentioned the one... I spoke at a paranormal symposium, and then afterwards they had the ghost tour, a ghost hunt, and I rarely ever do that. In fact, I think that was my first one. But it was actually a blast, believe it or not. We went to Fort Larned, and we broke up into a couple of groups, and we were by this graveyard, and a couple of the gals from the group went away from everybody. It was a moonlit night, and I followed them to make sure they were safe. I kind of felt, obligated. And they said that somebody was waving them over there, and they were wearing costume of, what would be era soldier. but they were gone. So we're all in this circle, and Terry has these props, yes/no props that he makes and sells. They're really cool. And we're looking down, unfortunately, and I looked up just in time to see somebody walk out from behind the obelisk to walk up behind this girl. And I look down, and the girl screams at the top of her lungs that somebody just grabbed my hiney, and that's not how she pronounced it. Right. She was cursing. And we turn and look, the guy was gone, completely gone. So, yeah, I'd say they got a sense of humor.
What about when you walk into somebody's house and there's something going on, obviously, and you look around and you see crystals, and they, crystals on whatever, the windowsill on the is that inviting anything?
Not the crystals themselves. I'm not a personal fan of them. To me, it's mysticism. But I do know that the crystals themselves are not harmful in any way. Some people think that they can absorb negative energy, but it's what people do with the crystals. It's the prayers associated with it. It's the rites and the seances that that mysticism will bring in. And I don't ever want to dog anybody's belief system whatsoever. The only thing that I can say is you got to be careful, because most of what I see people doing is something that they've read off the internet to do, and they run to their local metaphysical store and they buy a bunch of crystals that they've read, and they go home, they start saying prayers and doing seances or not seances, but rites that they have no idea what they are. One in particular, the gal, it wasn't a crystal, but it was a patch that somebody had given her that was supposed to ward off evil. It was a freaking sign of one of the demons. I don't know what this guy was doing, but she thought it was, and she brought it home and put it in her house for protection. So,
wow,
you got to be careful.
And one last question before I let you go. What about bricks used like salt lines? Have you heard about stones or bricks being used?
No, I have not. I got to be honest there.
Okay, there you go. Somebody wanted me to ask you that question. Timothy, one of the best shows I've had in a while. Thank you so much. And what is the best way for everybody to get in touch with you if they have some issues?
Well, flatlandinvestigations.com. That's my website. Or you can actually go to orderofexorcists.com, and that would take you to the order. And they have you can actually find me through that as well. But if you're out of my domain or region, of course, there's plenty like me out there. Of course, we're always recruiting. If there's anybody out there who felt that they felt the call, but they have an online form that you can fill out as well. And like I mentioned, Steven's in Denver, Joe's in LA. There's always hopefully somebody nearby that could help somebody with their demonic issues.
I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight. And I'll remind everybody, when our show premieres in September, just be on the watch out for his segment, and it's going to be great. Thank you so much, Timothy, and be safe out there.
Thank you, and you take care of yourself. We'll see you in a week or so. Maybe.
Oh! See, you can't disclose.
Oh,
you are going to. He's actually going to see me because he's coming to L.A. More on that in a bit, and I'll post pictures of it. Thank you so much, Tim. Be safe on your trip out here to L.A.
Take care. God bless.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is Fade to Black, day one of our Most Haunted Places in America week. That was Timothy Earl of Flatland Investigations. I'm going to take some of your calls next. And you know what? I think I'm going to play that EVP one more time. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. See you in a second.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will. Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out! That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-618-WAVE, 888-618-WAVE, or visit mydryhome.com. mydryhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Teppy.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. Thank you, Timothy Earl. The most haunted places in America. Part 1, Day 1. Wow, what a great conversation. And I'm going to play that EVP again because it's the best one I've ever heard, number one. Number two, listen in the beginning as I play this. There is a conversation between Annette and the client, 2 women, but there's a third female voice that says Archis Demonis in the middle of their conversation. And it is what's amazing here for me is that it is at the same volume as theirs. You don't have to wonder what you're listening to or have to listen for it. It's right there. It's in the front. It says Archis Demonis in a female voice. And then as they are talking, the low rumble kicks in, which is apparently a demon. And it is frightening to listen to. Okay, so I'm going to play it again. Here we go. Just get ready. And listen for the Latin female voice in the very front before the low rumbling. Here we go.
I was just doing was, yes, that's why we have surgeries. That's why I get upset when I'm going.
That is amazing. Okay, one more time. Listen for the Latin Archis Demonis right in the front. Here we go.
I was just doing was, yes, that's why we have surgeries. That's why I get upset when I'm going.
That is the most insane EVP ever. Archis Demonis. Right there in the front. Archis Demonis. And then the low rumble kicks in. We've all heard EVPs, everyone. We've all heard them. But that is not only crystal clear, but the message is there and the low rumbling, and you don't have to wonder what you're listening for. That's incredible. Opening up the phone lines, 323-825-5045. What do you think about this, and what do you think you're hearing? I'm going to do this one more time just for me. And I'm just going to make sure that everybody has really fun dreams tonight. Here you go.
I was just doing was, yes, that's why we have surgeries. That's why I get upset when I'm going.
That is the craziest thing ever. 323-825-5045. Okay, before I get to the calls, I wanted to set up the news tonight. Now, as you know, okay, I'm lining up the phone calls now. As you know, I have chosen to not submit to the darkness. I've got lots of really cool news here tonight that I'm going to go through, but I have not talked about what has gone on around the world over this past weekend. That includes Turkey, some of the events, shooting. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not. I refuse to talk about the RNC tonight. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to talk about the DNC when it happens. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to submit to the darkness. Hey, Brandon, what's up?
Hey, Jimmy, what's going on, man?
Is that the craziest EVP ever?
Yeah, I was going to say, because it took me a few listens, because I was like, I hear a robot voice, you know what I mean? Like an AI type of voice. And it was very, like, usually it would have like a rumbly, ghost hunter sound of Archus Demonologist.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But
it's
not.
No.
It's just, it's so weird. It's creepy.
Yes, and also, I'll play it again. Everybody just listen. I'll play it again. Here we go.
I was just doing was, yes, that's why we have surgeries. That's why I get upset when I'm going.
Now, what's curious here is that it's not Annette's voice or the client's voice. It's a female voice that sounds almost like they're trying to imitate them, but it's a different tone, and it's also this Archus Demonis. It's got a different attitude. Yeah, it's and then that low rumble comes in.
That's what gets me creeped out, is because it's so, like, nice, you know what I mean, and good at imitation. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Wow. And then that rumble is like almost like, something you'd see out of one of those apocalyptic movies. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, oh my God, like an earthquake or something.
And you've heard a lot of EVPs.
Oh,
like
yeah,
have you ever heard anything like this?
Never. This is the first time. So, wow, I'm spooked out, man. This is creepy.
It's funny, and I know Timothy's probably listening right now, right? And we were talking earlier in the week. He goes, man, I'm only going to send you one. Right? I was like, okay, all right. And, I get them all the time in email, and, I listen to them all. But it's just kind of funny how dude, I'm only going to send you one. I only need to send you one. And he was right. And I listened to it today, and I was like, man, I'm not digging this. It was scary. And I was talking to him on the phone, and he goes, man, but it's the Latin voice in the beginning. And I was like, you know what? I don't even want to go back and listen now.
What is up with that Latin too? Like Archus, like isn't that the root of like Archon and
well, what did he say? Well, he said what it meant. Now I forget. Thanks, Brandon, for throwing me under the bus. He said what it meant.
Female. It was a female, like a female demon. I thought.
Okay. Well, and see, this is what's really nuts, Brandon. Is we don't need to decipher or translate demonis, right?
Right. Yeah, that's pretty clear.
Pretty clear. Man, all right, I'm going to do this one more time.
Thanks, Jimmy.
You got it. You got it, Brandon.
Bye.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to do this one more time. Here we go. I love it.
I was just doing was, yes, that's why we have surgeries. That's why I get upset when I'm going.
Oh, man. That is truly the craziest EVP ever. 323-825-5045. So, I'm not going to submit to the darkness in the news. I'm not going to get myself dragged down. I'm not going there. That's it. So check this out. I've got a really cool collection of stuff tonight that everybody's put together. And we're going to start with this. A new anonymizing internet tool designed by MIT and EPFL is soon to be released, and it has fixed Tor's, the darknet, blind spots. It is called Riffle, and it takes the best bits of Tor and the basic principles that function in the background and have created a new anonymity tool and a new network from scratch. In basic terms, Riffle still operates in the same way that Tor anonymizes its users by running its connections through a veritable mix of network nodes and seemingly randomly bouncing data packets from system to system to obscure the original source of the packets. Now, the apparent difference between Tor and Riffle, however, is that Riffle has made itself bulletproof from malicious entities that run rogue servers on the Tor network in a technique that has become known as a Sybil attack. In real terms, Riffle connections should remain invulnerable to Sybil attacks as it uses mathematical algorithms that mean any verified machine on the Riffle network will be able to tell when the mathematical proofing that it protects has been compromised. Now listen to me. And it remains uncompromised. That one machine will detect when the mathematical proof has been broken. Riffle still uses Tor's layered onion protocol. Okay, so check this. Onion, which encrypts its messages, does not completely overhaul how Tor works because it still uses the groundbreaking Onion protocol to encrypt its messages. The dark net has now become a safer, darker place. It's very interesting, and you know me, I'm a fan of the dark net. So as this unveils and unrolls out there, I will keep everybody updated. Now, also today, and I saw this myself, and it's hilarious. I think we have it over on our Facebook page, but a video that was posted today shows Late Show host Stephen Colbert taking over the microphone on stage in Cleveland at the RNC in a Hunger Games themed prank at the site of the RNC. Now, which started today. I don't know how he pulled it off, but the video is hilarious, and it shows Colbert behind the podium saying it's his honor, and I'm quoting here, to hereby launch and begin the 2016 Republican Hungry for Power Games, end quote, and banging the gavel. Then security storms the stage, and they confront Colbert, who says, and as they're pulling him off the stage, I know I'm not supposed to be here, but let's be honest, neither is Donald Trump. And then he's led off of the stage. So it's a hilarious video. It looks to me, Colbert, Stephen can get in anywhere. He's credentialed and so forth. So he got up on the stage. The microphones were live. And I'm assuming the PA system and everything was going through a sound check type of situation. And he gets up there with his Hunger Games Houdini hat, Swami hat, and goes off and gets this done. It's a hilarious video. Look, I'm not anti-Trump. I'm not anti-Hillary. I'm not pro either. The video is bleeping hilarious. And if it was me, if I was in the same position, I got my Swami hat, and I have the ability to run up on that stage and grab that microphone and do what he did, I'd do it myself. It's amazing. Now, the big news. The World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, W-A-D-A, WADA, today recommended that the International Olympic Committee and the International Paralympic Committee should consider banning all athletes entered by the Russian Olympic Committee for next month's Rio Olympics. WADA was responding to a damning independent report produced by the Canadian law professor Richard McLaren, and it was published today, that revealed evidence of widespread state-sponsored doping by Russian athletes at the 2014 Sochi Winter Olympics. Now, WADA made 7 recommendations today after the report was published, including one that the Russian government officials knew and that they be denied access to all international competitions, including Rio in 2016. I got to say, who's going to go to the Rio Olympics now? You have you've got killer viruses in the water, right? You've got this Zika thing running around that we don't know if it's real or not, but certainly the fear is there. You've got the crime in the streets. You've got the rampant drug use that's going on, glue-sniffing gangs, right, that are robbing everybody. You've got all of these issues, plus it's a long plane ride. And you don't even know if the facilities are done and finished. You know, all of these things. I don't know. Is it actually going to happen, and who is going to be there? With the Olympics that happened with Russia and you remember United States, and everybody was bickering back and forth if they wanted to go or not, and it really put a damper on everything. But leading up to this, instead of the media being behind this and promoting this, I have no idea what's really going to go on. And it's less than a month away. Very interesting. All right. I'm going to light up Twitter right now. AAA announced that gas prices are lower than they've ever been for July in the last 12 years. According to AAA, the national average gas price right now is $2.21 per gallon of regular unleaded. Not only that, but 25% of the country's gas stations right now are offering gas under $2. $2. The lowest gas prices in the country are in South Carolina. That's right, at just $1.88. California still holds the title of the highest gas prices in the nation at $2.85. That's right, edging out Hawaii at $2.82 per gallon. Now, I want to know, who is paying under $2 a gallon right now in the United States? I want to see it in Twitter. That's insane to me. All right, earlier today, I had to go to Costco, right? So I'm walking in Costco, and I always do this. I look down to see what the Costco gas prices are. Right now, my Costco was $2.58 a gallon for regular unleaded. And I know the rest of the country right now is listening to me like, dude, how come you pay so much for gas? So I noticed that, and I was driving home because I saw the report today, and I was preparing for the show. So I was driving around looking at gas stations, and I was seeing everything here in the valley around Burbank, Sherman Oaks, that area. Everything was cruising around $3 per gallon. How much are you guys paying? Right now, Brandon in Phoenix, $1.48, and that includes a rewards program. $1.48? That's insanity. Now, let's see. Spiritual Warrior, he is saying, it's Twitter's really blipping here fast. Oh, $2.38 in Northeast Pennsylvania. Okay, hold on. Northeast Pennsylvania. Okay, I got you. Close to New Jersey. All right. So $1.98 at King Super, Kroger. And where is that? Is that in Colorado? Where is King Super? Kroger. $1.98 per gallon. $2.49 in Elko, Nevada. $2.39, and that's from Ruth, in Fallon, Nevada. Very interesting. And I got to tell you, man, for us here in Southern California, we're so acclimated to these gas prices, you know, and I'm so excited when it's as low as it is. But when you get the report from AAA, it's the lowest it's ever been in 12 years. Still here in Southern California, it's still floating around $3 per gallon. Let's see. Paul says South Carolina, $1.71. That's insane. I mean, Les says he's paying $2.14 a gallon, and that's in South Carolina. IPD says $2.28 in the Chicago area. All right, let's see. I mean, everybody's clicking by. I'll report back on this. The thing is, when you get down to $2.41, that's from Mark on the Oregon coast. I mean, when you're down to $2.03 in Albany, New York, $2 a gallon. So if you got a 12-gallon tank, you're filling up for $20, right? That's crazy to me. And just remember, everybody, when I fill up a tank, I'm still busting $45. You guys have it so good. Dead Horse, Arkansas, $5.50 a gallon. Oh, that's Alaska. $5.50 a gallon? What? Mentor, Ohio, $2.05. You know what? And that's from Revanche. Check this out. I've been to Mentor, Ohio. I certainly have. Right outside of Cleveland. I've been to the good little town of Mentor. Cool city. Cool town, Mentor. Not too many people know where Mentor is. But there you go. Yeah. And so it still cost us, $45 to fill up. And it's even more than that because Rita insists on premium unleaded. So gas is always higher in California. There's no cross-state mass transit. Everyone depends on cars. That's true. But also here in California, and I've said it many times, we have $1 per gallon tax on state tax on all of the federal and everything else that's there. We have a state tax of $1 per gallon. Okay, so no matter what it is, think about it. We could get this down to $1.50, right? And we're still spending $2.50. So there you go. $2.02, Circle K, Findlay, Ohio. You guys, man, what's that? $5.50 in Alaska? Alaska's got all the oil. How does that work? All right. Let's see. Okay, so the rest of the good news here. The system designed to defend American cities and towns against a nuclear attack by North Korea is simply unable to protect the United States public. The report, which was released last Thursday by the Union of Concerned Scientists, recommends that the Obama administration halt the expansion of the ground-based mid-course defense system known as the GMD until technical problems have been solved. The GMD system is intended to thwart a limited nuclear strike by non-superpowers like North Korea. In the event of an attack, rocket interceptors at Vandenberg Air Force Base in Santa Barbara County, California, and Greeley, Alaska. I know I reported on this last week, but listen to me. These are the 7 most recent tests that we, got 3 out of 7. And I think that that's pretty good. Why? Because today, North Korea launched 3 more missiles back to back with a range of about 500 miles. All 3 launches were successful. Now, South Korea is tripping. 2 weeks ago, I announced that South Korea said that they are now installing a missile defense system over North Korea, right? So why don't we just shoot these things out of the sky? Why don't we? We've got the system installed. Why isn't this happening? Are we provoking by shooting them out of the sky? Honestly, this is a wonderful world. I love everything about it. I love everything about this country. And you know what? If that's what's going on with North Korea, I honestly think we need to show not only the United States, Guam, Hawaii, South Korea, and Japan, and everybody else that's involved, including China, that we can pick this stuff out of the sky. And I think we should do it immediately. By the way, Sydney, Australia, Mark says $1.20 per liter. So it's 2 liters per gallon, right? So they're paying $2.40 a gallon in, yeah, that's right. Somebody just said you're doing liters. I don't even know. I can never figure out the conversion. But basically, right, it's 2 liters per gallon, right? Roughly. So they're paying $2.40 a gallon in Sydney. And then what happens with the dollar conversion, Aussie dollars to American dollars? So, which is petrodollars, which is what is paying for the gas there and oil. So are you spending less or more? That's what you got to find out. Let's see. Average. Oh, yeah, Gas Buddy. I know. I don't like going to Gas Buddy. I get depressed. I have seen the cat riding the scooter video. Have you guys seen this? Have you seen the cat riding the scooter video? Yes, sure. It's funny, and it's pretty amazing. And it's a My question is, what about the claw marks in the dude's back? Right? Have you seen the video? It's a dude riding up the street, a busy street in a city somewhere, on a scooter like a Vespa, right? He's riding, and on his back is a cat clawed, hanging onto his back. And the cat is looking around, having a good time. He's not jumping off, man. He's obviously riding the scooter, and it's not his first time. He's enjoying himself. But I gotta say, the claw marks on his back. Have you guys seen this video? It's hilarious. And I keep waiting during the video. I know it's a cat video. I know, but this is actually one step beyond. I keep waiting for the cat to jump off. What cat would do this, right? But the cat doesn't. The cat is looking around, and there's one little spot. I know I've seen the video like 20 times. I couldn't help it. The cat it starts to go up his back a little bit. I thought the cat was going to climb up and take a peek over his shoulder, but he doesn't. He settles back down, claw marks on his back, and he's writing out the video. It's hilarious. I just want to know, does the guy have cardboard? Is he wearing a bulletproof vest? Or is that just a T-shirt and this dude, 3.78 liters per gallon? Is that right? Is that right? So it's 4 liters per gallon, not 2? No. Is that right? See, I'm totally off. So what you're saying, that's 4, they're paying $4.80 a gallon in Sydney? No. It can't be that expensive. Is that right? Well, if that's the case, Sydney should be outraged. A judge, and this is my good news story of the day. I'll leave you with this. A judge has rejected a plea deal that would have given former Los Angeles County Sheriff corrupt butthole Lee Baca 6 months in prison. Lee Baca, one of the most corrupt individuals ever in the history of the United States, pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI during a probe of his department's attempts to cover up abuse by deputies in the county jails. U.S. District Court Judge Percy Anderson said today that the plea agreement between Baca and prosecutors in the case would trivialize the seriousness of the offenses, the need for just punishment, the need to deter others. End quote. Anderson said that Baca could withdraw his guilty plea and then go to court, go to trial. The deal would have meant up to 6 months in prison for Baca. The agreement required Baca, 74 years old, by the way, to plead guilty to lying to the FBI investigators during an interview in April 2013 related to department corruption and deputy conduct. During that interview, Baca had said he did not know of attempts to intimidate an FBI agent who was involved in an investigation of LA County Sheriff's Department's conduct, specifically allegations of deputy brutality at county jails, as well as corruption accusations. In agreeing to the plea deal in February, Baca, who retired in 2014, admitted only to lying about the visit to the FBI agent's home, while concurrently agreeing not to challenge other accusations. Now, in fact, Baca had been in a meeting during which department officials discussed the plan. According to reports, he told those in the meeting that members of the department, and I'm quoting here, should do everything but put handcuffs on her while they were at her house. I'm not making this up. Lee Baca is going to prison. There is justice in this world. Well, sometimes. And this is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Karmarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Beatty Bydale, Webmaster Drew the Geek, Music Doug Aldrich, Intro Spaceboy, SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication, KGRA The Planet. This broadcast is only copyrighted 2016 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black for the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Everybody be safe. Go Beckley Teppy.